Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Come Home with Corbin Stacy, our inaugural podcast of the year. My name is Corbin Stacy. I am your host. Happy International Yoga Day, everybody. International Yoga Day landing on June 21st of every year, guys. We've been down this road many times together, right?
Yep.
10-year anniversary with NamaStacy Yoga Corporation. We're here with the Board of Directors of NamaStacy Yoga Corporation today. My name is Corbin Stacy. I'm the president and the founder of this international nonprofit, 501c3. I've got Donna c0Me here to my right. She's our senior vice president. Hello, Donna. How are you today? Thank you for being here. We also have Frank, and I've been schooled on this last name. Is it Vilez? Frank Vilez, our other vice president. Frank?
Yeah, you did it.
Did it okay? Vilez.
Yes, you did.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for being here. We also have Dr. Nancy here to my left, dear friends, all of them. Dr. Nancy, thanks for being here. What's really cool about this board, we've been together, Don and I, for the past 10 years as a professional board, right? Senior vice president. Then we had some things happen. Frank came onto the board, had some more things happen. And then Nancy came onto the board. So we're here to just chit chat about where we've been, what we've been up to, where we see the board going in the future. We're all friends, mutual friends outside of here. So it can get a little campy, cheeky. We've been laughing, getting ready for this podcast. It's the behind the scenes is super cute. We're super grateful to be here. International Yoga Day is celebrated all over the world, right? So everybody is focusing on mental, physical, spiritual health all around the world. So it is the longest day of the year, summer solstice. I believe that's why the United Nations picked that day. So that's super cool. I'd like to turn it over to Donna, right? I'd like Donna to kind of give her opinion or her flashback 10 years ago of how this nonprofit started, because Donna was the initial donor. She was our first donor. Her and her husband gave us a $5,000 grant to kick us off in 2012. And then we got a gold bomb from Lululemon as well. So we had like about a $10,000 little nest egg to get the website pretty much up and going, right, Donna? So I'm going to let Donna talk about like kind of the beginning, the inception of NamaStacy. And back then, 10 years ago, Donna, what happened?
Back 10 years ago, as Corbin said, I was a founding board member of NamaStacy along with Corbin and a woman named Jennifer Cohen of Boca Raton. We started small with a vision of offering grants to aspiring yoga students, which very much interested me. As Corbin mentioned, we started with a Lululemon Gold Bomb, which Corbin won, and actually it made him pretty much of a little celebrity at Lululemon up and down the East Coast. I recall one time I went up to New York and they knew Corbin.
In Sydney, they knew in Australia.
Yep, they knew about Corbin, and he's the guy that won the Gold Bomb. And I'm just like, yes, he is.
Thank you, Lululemon.
And that was a $5,000 award also. In the meantime, we've conducted lots of fundraisers and big yoga events to help fund our goals. And we've celebrated always on June 21st, which Corbin mentioned is the longest day. We've collaborated with the Alzheimer's Association. And I believe the last event we did was called the Tri-County Tribe, in which we collaborated with all three South Florida counties. And that was quite fun. We've given, I think you mentioned 65 grants to individuals.
Wow. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, when you think about that, we hit about 64 grants in less than 4 years, right? And we can talk about that a little bit more, making this international, which is really cool. We met Mon at Vikasa in Thailand, and she became an international ambassador, but not to hijack that conversation, but fun things happen.
We call the grant recipients Bambassadors.
Bam!
Yes, and that's exactly why we call them Bambassadors. Many years ago, Corbin and I worked together in the aviation business, when corporate aviation. And he used to always say the word BAM whenever anything fun or exciting happened. So I kind of termed him the BAM man. He was the BAM man. So it was natural. I think you I don't know how you came up with ambassadors. You were in a yoga class one day.
There were so many ambassadors, right? I was an ambassador at Lululemon. I've been an ambassador at Manduka, ambassador here, ambassador there. I just thought that it was pretty generic. And we enjoy being different here, right? We've always strived on being fun, fancy, flirty. We get professional and crisp and clean all at the same time, right? All wrapped in one. So I think BAM is just a really good expression. And when I don't know, I was in a yoga class, I think, and one of our ambassadors was teaching, and I think I was laying in final Shavasana, and I was like, she must have said it in class or something. It was Alexis, Georgia, actually. I'll never forget that. And she said it, and I was like, ambassadors, that's what you are. You're a ambassador. You're all going to be like, bam, out there in the community. So we just added a little B in front of that ambassador, and they became BAM ambassadors. So to date, yes, 65 grants, taking us international. So.
And we're very fortunate to have one ambassador in the United Kingdom named Monica Anton. And we have a bunch of them up and down the East Coast, to New Jersey and even Connecticut. So we've given out
Vegas,
a lot of them.
Nevada.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
all over
about
Denver.
Vegas.
Yeah, all over the U.S. So super cool stuff. A very unique kind of thing. And I just want to chit chat about how it started. I mean, I was very fortunate because, as Donna mentioned, we worked at an airline together, which shall go unnamed. And I was able to take a little leave of absence. And so I got a 30-day leave of absence. And I went and I trained with my teacher, Jimmy Barkin, who, for those of you guys that know anything about hot yoga, you will know Bikram and Barkin as a lineage. It's a very strong lineage. And he is a master teacher here, an international master teacher in the United States. And I went to training with him. So for 30 days, I left the airline, and Donna kind of took over the team that we both managed together. And we were in contact every day throughout teacher training. It was here in Fort Lauderdale, and it was 2 hot classes a day. You know, you're meditating on the beach at like 6:30 every morning. You're listening to Jimmy tell his stories until the wee hours of the night whenever he was done. That's how it was done. You know, it was the satsang, and we trained, and it was very exhausting. But to know that Donna was there, I just want to thank you again 10 years later for being there for me like that, because I would have never been able to train, being the leaders that we were at the airline. We would have never been able to do that back in the day, right? So that was pretty random that was able to happen. So that was a blessing. And then, Donna was such a cool leader, and I knew her work ethic at the airline. So when it came time to pick an original board of directors, it just made sense that she would have my back. And so that was really cool. So thank you for always being there throughout this entire roller coaster. It's been a great decade with you, and many more to come. And so with that being said, you mentioned Jen. We had a lawyer, a friend of mine, Adam Cohen, which was her husband. And so once she had basically seen her mission through, she was ready to move on. There was an opening on the board. And so Donna and I sat and we were like, like, what's going on here? Like, who do we need to come on board to kind of round things out and to provide a little bit more of a professional kind of sense into where we were moving, right? We were moving into a new direction post Jen. And we needed a new voice, a new vision, somebody that necessarily wasn't so close to the yoga community, right? Somebody that didn't know all the players necessarily, somebody that could look at applications for grants objectively and see that kind of stuff. So really cool opportunity to bring a fresh face onto the board. And I had met Mr. Vilez down here because at the airline, everybody was addicted to him and his hands. He was
and
like
Carla,
the man of hands. And my barber, my barber.
Carla kept telling us.
Look at this hair, you guys. So
I used to have hair, and we went to the
if
same
you're listening
barber.
on Spotify or Apple, Frank is bald.
Okay,
it's a sweet, sexy
and I've got
scalp.
beautiful
when I
long,
used
long
to have
locks of
hair, I used to go to this lady called Carla, and she kept telling me, I want you to meet my client, Corbin. And I'm like, Carla, I have a man in my life. She goes, no, it's not like that. He has a man too. She's like, I think you guys are going to be. She goes, you guys need to meet each other. And this went on forever. And finally we met.
We did.
And
I ended up on his massage table.
I know. And it was
a great experience.
You know, there's always those boundaries between the client and the customer. But I knew from day one, I was like, boundaries will be shattered because I'm going to be friends with this guy because, oh my God, he's like a young me, like running around energy wise. I mean,
still have hair.
Because, you know, I'm like that person that's always running a mile a minute, doing a million things, and nobody can keep up. And I'm like, I found someone that can keep up. So, like, you know, let's say yay to Carla.
Yay to Carla.
That was amazing.
And yay to you taking insurance for massages back in the day.
Back in the day,
I mean, for sure.
That doesn't happen anymore. But you know what? This introduced me to something that I never thought I would be a part of. And
it was definitely because I remember the hesitation.
I would
like
go
you were, it
to
was
the
like
events as, you know, like as an invited person, and I would do my donation, and I would be like, I heard you tell the stories and everything like that about you wanting to start this organization and the reasons behind it. And I was always, wow, I hope the universe gives him this, because I know what it's like to be helped to learn something that you didn't know you could do. And then you learn it and you go on and you live this different type of a life. And hopefully it's a better life. And it was done through all of this, or through me, me meeting you guys. But I remember I was like clueless. You were dropping hints on social media. And I'm like they mentioned me in a post, like, what's that about? What's happening here? And it kept going on and on. And then Donna was doing stuff. And I'm like, why are they writing these things? And then finally they're like, OMG, you are so dense. We want you to be the VP with us. And I'm like, I don't know. What do I bring? I rarely even do yoga. I do it like maybe 10 times a year.
Perfect.
And you're like, that's
even
why
better.
you're like, that's why we want you. I said, but I don't know anything about how yoga works in the community. That's exactly why we want you. And it
true.
Just became like a labor of love for me. I've never done anything like that. And to be invited by such amazing people to be a part of something so spectacular, and then meeting the doctor. And I've just met a lot of amazing people here. I think that a lot of times we forget that, especially with what we've all been through for the last few years, we've all experienced different things that have been stressful and leave us with triggers. We forget that sometimes it's when we help others, we help ourselves.
Absolutely.
And being a part of this has been very healing for me. I've met other great nonprofits and organizations that we've done work with, and again, introducing me to this whole different community that I, was never even aware existed. And so it's volunteering is so incredible, especially if you want to change the way you're feeling. If it's not with us, then let it be with somebody else. But when you volunteer, you're doing something so amazing for yourself.
Yeah, I love that. No, I love that. I think a lot of people don't really know.
You meet people.
What a nonprofit does. They're like, nonprofit. Like, what is that? Like, what do you do? Trust me, I haven't made a single cent off this nonprofit in 10 years.
It's been very profitable to me because of the people that I have met.
In other ways.
Yes,
for sure.
It's exactly.
Absolutely.
We get so much out of
it. It's a labor of love. It can be intense and it can be a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I think each of us sit at this table with the vision of like healing love. We've always talked about that from the beginning. We are broadcasting here at Yoga Home in the Pompano City Center. We're turning 5 this October. We'll get there in the story, right? Yoga Home was a home studio for NamaStacy, right? NamaStacy is the whole entire reason while we're sitting here right now. But we're broadcasting here in the studio, and we weave that healing love in and out of every class. Our bar classes, our set sequences, our hot classes, our unheated classes. There's something for everybody here, but at the end of the day, that healing love, right, is always kind of woven through it. And I think volunteering is just one of the things, and it's a sangha, it's a community, and that's what we do. So with that being said, we also had another opening on the board. So drum roll. We knew we needed an additional layer, right? Frank and I can be a little bit much. I think Donna was feeling a little bit outnumbered. Extra. You can read all about it, right? So I think it was important for us to establish some equilibrium, some balance in the practice, right? Masculine, feminine side bodies of our lives, right? So Dr. Nancy, I met her on a flight at the airline that shall be unnamed. And we were 38,000 feet in the air and
close to God.
Close to God. Bangs were so not there at the time. They were much shorter, right? The hair was not high at the time, right? But we were in the air and we were flying. And this young lady comes back to the back galley, and I'm sitting on my jump seat as I am now. And all of a sudden she just finds this nice little forward fold, a little lean here, a little lean here. And I've always been the one to ask a customer on the plane, like, I hope you do that every day. I hope you don't just do it for this 2-hour and 30-minute flight back here in my face. I hope you do it every day, right? And so I used that line on her, like, I hope you do that every day. And she was like whipped around and was like, actually, I do. I practice yoga. And we hit it off and we fell in love.
Well, I work with another nonprofit called Japan Arts, which is Fushu Daiko, and they are taiko drummers. And we were in San Francisco for a taiko event. And I'm a holistic physician. I'm a chiropractic sports physician, and all of the healing modalities are in my
and I did not know that at the time.
camp.
She was like a little nugget.
So I travel with them because they, use their arms, and I adjust, make sure everyone's okay. So flying back, I heard the announcement, and I just was like smitten. But I was just on the plane and then doing my stretches, and he tapped me and said, "Honey, what are you doing?" And then he said, "I teach yoga." I said, "Well, give me your card." And he did, and I showed up in class, and that was it. And I also adjusted him.
Yes. So I was a patient of yours. Yeah.
It's balance. I'm all about balance. And the fact that you're making the world a healthier place is divine. And all the people who you've helped through your grants and through your classes are benefited in ways that go beyond what they even expect. And during all your classes, you mentioned that this is the house of healing love.
Yes.
So we're here today to expand upon that, so more people make healthier choices to live happier, better lives.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better. Thank you for that plug. I'm constantly asking Nancy, what's wrong with me? What's this? What's going on over here?
Fix everything.
What's happening in my neck? What's happening in my wrist? What's happening in my back? So thank you. And Nancy's daughter, she's a gym as well. So hello, Barty. But she had always had an aspiration to kick off a nonprofit of her own as well. So I love mentoring people, or like I have interns here at the yoga studio, which we'll have a podcast with each one of our teachers every month being offered. So we'll get there to the interns and to the staff. But I've always enjoyed kind of mentoring people and helping people succeed their goals. So when it came time to help Barty start a nonprofit, she founded Student Body Health, and she is a nonprofit in training, and she's been doing lots of work in the community in Palm Beach, and she is going off to school, and we're super proud of her. But we too like to help other people, understand what we're doing internally too. Maybe you have a passion out there at home that you didn't know how to start a way to give back. And so it's just important to kind of pass that information down to the young kids of the day these days, and to let them know that you don't have to hustle and bustle in a brick and mortar just to succeed a for-profit business. You can actually go out and do really kind work. You can get a degree.
I'd like to make mention.
Oh, we should talk about Alyssa. I love her.
I want to make mention of Student Body Health, which is the nonprofit my daughter, Alexis Barty, founded. And she won a grant through Philanthropy Tank, and part of her,
thank you, Philanthropy Tank.
Thank you, Philanthropy Tank, and part of her vision was to have healing yoga for the students who were going through so much stress,
so much trauma,
sitting in chairs for so many hours. And this was right before the pandemic, and then we also did it after. But the fact that students sit in chairs for so many hours and have to concentrate, and Corbin was kind enough to teach several classes, and it was really a benefit.
It's really cool. The kids these days, they don't even know they really are practicing yoga.
Yes.
Like they're off the mat. Yoga's not only done on the mat. There's moral disciplines and personal restraints and all of these things that we do that lead us to this higher form of enlightenment, right? So these kids are practicing yoga with each other. They don't even realize that they're doing it. It's kind of cool. And then when you kind of corral them into one area and show them that they're practicing yoga, these like light bulbs like start to go off. So kudos to the work being done on that front. More
Thank
to
you.
come there. Yeah, I love that little spinoff. And so the question is now, like, where do we go in the future? Like, what do we see NamaStacy Yoga Corporation looking like in the next 5 years and beyond? And so when I opened this studio in 2017, I had to disclose basically a conflict of interest because I was forming my own teacher training program. And I obviously wanted people to come here and train with me. And I didn't want to write that check to the studios that are 5 miles down the street for me anymore. So I think with that being said, with that pivot in business, we kind of had to stop all of that funding for teacher trainings in general, as far as like that was concerned. And we kind of pivoted more to children, right? To teens and to youth and to distress and to things of that nature. So we do work with kids now, and we work with our director of teacher training here, Kelly Brookbank, out of Delray Beach, to provide Yoga Fest annually. That's the largest outdoor yoga festival in South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale every year. We take the kids to Costa Rica on a retreat, like a wellness retreat, to kind of keep them, invigorized and alive. We do a lot of good work here in the community as far as like just being buddies for people. Like we've had some suicide things happen in the community, and we've had some really dark pockets with the pandemic. And I think that the yoga tool is here for these kids to really instill it at a young age, so that they can, grow up and be a better version for themselves, their loved ones, their family members, their friends. And so when we talk about the future, I mean, let this be a board of directors meeting right here. Like, Frank, where do you see us going in the community? Donna, where do you see us doing? Would you like to go back to some things that we used to do and revisit? Would you like to see us expand even more? Like, does anybody, Nancy talks to me all the time about what she
all
sees.
All the time.
So even if you want to pop in, like, where do you see this going? I mean, she wants me to do like the reels and the stories and all these, informational videos and stuff. And I'm one person, I would love to do that too. But yeah, please, like it's a whiteboard. Throw it down. Where do you guys see us going in the next 10 years?
Well, first of all, you are a prolific and extraordinary teacher. And I'm blessed to take as many of your classes as I can.
Thank you.
So each class improves my health and everyone in there. And during the pandemic, you were really clever and made videos. So when everyone was in their house freaking out, they could get the benefit of you and your team through technology. I thought that was extraordinary. The classes were great, and we were doing them and you were in lockdown for a long time. You've been through a lot. And now I really believe that the future is engaging everybody to understand that they can feel better every day in every way, following certain protocols, including understanding their physical frame, balancing their body, stretching, with all the teachings that you do. I mean, it is a game plan for success. So that's what I see. I also really like working with student body health. And I also really like the fact that you've helped a lot of autistic students.
We haven't even talked about that.
And that is a really important method for calming down their nervous system through natural, holistic support. So there's improved concentration, improved clarity, less stress, and naturally.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is something that I really think is a very bright, shining light that will follow.
Thank you. And that's so cool that you brought up, we do have an autistic teacher that we have trained in-house, and we made him a 500-hour teacher. And we love Michael. So kudos to that work on all fronts and everybody that made that happen. But yeah, I mean, I think to piggyback off of what you said, I see us collaborating with other nonprofits that, like the Autistic Society and
Student
Cancer
Body Health
Society, and in collaboration with Student Body Health, and kind of taking the message a little bit broader. Awesome. Donna, I'm really curious to see where you would take us. Like, if I was to be like, Donna, you want to be president and take this bad boy over? What would you do? What would happen? Where would you take it?
Well, it's kind of a hard act to follow what Nancy just said. But,
she does sum it up.
Yes, she summed it up pretty darn good.
We're just here to serve.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah, it's all service.
But I would like to also echo that you are a prolific teacher, not to use the same words, but I don't know any other word to use. And you are the sole reason why my husband and I got involved with yoga to begin with, or even developed a yoga practice. So I thank you for that, Corbin. How I see it is I would like to see NamaStacy get back more into the South Florida community. And I like that tri-county kind of feeling, because South Florida is the tri-county. And
Donna's in Boynton now.
Yes,
right?
I am in the North Tri-County.
About that North Tri.
Yeah, but you did events in Palm Beach.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, we do all the way down to Miami,
events.
all the way. So I like that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Write that down, Frank.
Absolutely.
Tri-county.
Tri-county.
I'm going to take the minutes. I
and
am
it doesn't-
writing everything down.
They don't necessarily have to be like one big yoga event like we used to do, because it's
But I love
very
I fall out.
we do love
the
them,
best.
but they're
They're
a lot.
drama.
I overheat.
Yes, they're
They're amazing. One more would be amazing.
We probably should do it.
We can plan something.
We absolutely could plan
Sure.
something. You're actually making me like, yeah.
Sorry,
That's
I brought
exciting.
it up.
I like
why
that.
not?
I saw it when I brought out. My husband and I were cleaning our garage a little bit over the weekend, and I did find one of the posters that we had, and it did sort of it gave me like a little chill, like I kind of miss that.
Oh my gosh,
It was a
I just
lot
want to
of
give a
fun.
shout out to, over the years, we've had representation and sponsorship from Spirit Airlines, JetBlue Airlines, My gosh, Whole Foods.
You've been given
Lululemon.
You've been given
Athleta.
the key to the city.
This is true. We've
Twice.
gotten
I don't want to
three-
brag.
no,
three times.
Twice with
Okay.
you. Yeah.
So hey, twice with me there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 times total. Yeah.
That was
2.
very impressive to see you be
Thank
given
you.
that award.
That was incredible, right? That was
I
crazy.
remember that day. I was like running around everywhere trying for posters not to fall over, for all the vendors to everything is happening. And then that moment happened and I just had to stop, Corbin. And I'm like,
And take
oh
it
my-
all in, right?
I'm like,
It's-
my bestie's being given the key to the city. And the media is here, and I'm like a part of this, you know.
Channel
It's like,
12. Thank you,
I'm
Suzanne.
so glad I wasn't afraid to become a part of this. I think a lot of times fear motivates people, and you get asked to do something, and you're like, I could never be with these people who have been doing this. And I'm so glad that you don't be afraid. And, you know, you said about things happening, people teaching online and people taking classes from home. I think that's wonderful, but I also think that people need to be together right
Absolutely.
now. I think that people need to actually come to a yoga studio,
Absolutely.
to a yoga class,
Mhm.
because this is
I'm
how
biased. I
this
would
is
agree to
how
that.
you are going to,
This is how we pay the bills.
yeah, and this is how you get your life back, and this is how you
Absolutely.
make new friends.
Absolutely.
How else do you make new friends? You
That's
have to find like-minded people.
That's right.
And where better than in a beautiful yoga studio?
That's right.
So I think that, I just want you to be aware of all that you do for everybody and for
Thank
this
you.
community, and for people to, you know what? It's okay. Follow your gurus online, but there's nothing like
Right.
live and in person.
Absolutely.
And you're very likable, and your classes are high energy.
That's right.
I mean, I'll take
And
your
hardcore.
class, and I am like, I
They're
cannot
hardcore.
believe they're not calling 911
We should ask the
for
boys
me.
behind the
Yeah.
camera here. They
It's-
take my class around
do they?
here.
I'm sure
Is it
they do,
hard?
but
Hard.
it's
yeah, it's hard, Corbin.
It's hardcore.
It is.
COREBIN. Corbin.
But
That's
for the
true.
future,
That's
I
sweet.
agree with the whole thing of partnering. I really loved it when you told me, go find somebody to partner with.
Right.
We're not going to do a fundraiser this year because there's other events happening, but we have to find somebody to partner with. And I'm like, well, like who? Who? And he was like, fly, be free, and come back with somebody to partner with.
You're either gonna write
And
that
I
check.
love
You're gonna
that.
get that check.
Good.
handed
I
to
love
you.
that. I love that. And we chose the Pantry of Broward, and that is such a cool place. So if we're plugging places, I want to plug the Pantry of Broward County.
Absolutely, all day
They
long.
help. Yes, they
help
help.
so many people.
Not just the aging population, because they help senior citizens, but they help senior citizens that are raising young children for many different reasons. And
Super cool
and that's
foundation.
like a hard job. Okay. And this organization is right here in our backyard, and we found it. We didn't even know it existed until we found it. So I love the idea of collaborating with other organizations. I think that just brings more people together and in
So
spirit.
it looks like we're going to be doing
So
some videos.
I think we're
going
going
to be here in
doing
South
all of
Florida
it. And live and in
we're
person.
gonna be
Get out
live
of your
in
house.
person.
Go to a yoga studio.
That's right.
Be with other people. Go volunteer. Stop being afraid. Get out and get back to enjoying like a live. It's like you're great on video, honey, but like
Now that we
live,
can.
Doesn't get better than in
baby.
person.
But now that we can, because we couldn't for a long
for a while.
time.
True.
But now
So
it's
now we're
going down.
privileged.
It is-
That's
yeah.
right.
Well, the thing
It's
about that
going
is too is like, I mean,
down.
I highly recommend a home practice. I mean, that's always a great thing to have. But as you guys know, I'm a heat mongrel. This is Yoga Home. It's hotyogahome.com, hotyogahome.com, emphasis on hot. And you can't really jack your house up to 104 degrees infrared radiant heat with 55% humidity. I mean, I guess you could.
Well, but also in the house, you have a cat, you have a dog,
Your
you have
phone,
the
the
phone,
community.
you're looking
It's
at your
the
kitchen.
energy
You
of
need
a group
to
of
have
people coming
right.
together. I think
And
that's
it's gorgeous
important.
here. If you've never been here before,
Yeah.
we're
It's a
located
very
on that
safe
third
space.
floor, the Pompano City
Pompano
Center.
City
It's
Center.
gorgeous. As you can see, this room is
Absolutely.
teal. The other hot room is pink. I mean, we definitely enjoy the more vibrant, bright side of life.
And there's
we don't
an
wanna,
energy here.
We don't want to keep it dark.
There's an
and
energy
dreary.
here. This is a bubble.
Absolutely.
That,
Oh yeah, for sure.
That
And
is like
you
a
figure that out
privilege
really quickly
for the people who come here. They value it. They trust you.
Thank
Your
you.
clients, the clients that we have mutually, they love you.
Thank you.
They love you. They see what you do. They see the value in this. So coming together like that in community and practicing together and meeting new people and referring to each other and all of that, it's just so much more than yoga, baby. You do so much.
Thank you.
That's how
Yoga
you're
means
my
connect.
It means
bestie.
connect. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think that this kind of wraps everything up. Thank you guys so much for joining us here. I think it was a
yes.
robust conversation. We can absolutely spin off and have an individual conversation with each of us. I think it would get spicy at that point. I think we'd just, file that on the personal side, not the professional side. But you guys can look for a podcast each and every month here, broadcasting out of the yoga home here in the Pompano City Center. If we get up and running and get a lot of speed underneath of us, who knows? Maybe we'll do a couple a month. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us at NamaStacy Yoga, at Hot Yoga Home. I'm Corbin Stacy Yoga until I was hacked. So you may find two of me. That's going to be a podcast in and of itself. But yeah, look for just Corbin Stacy. You'll find me online. If anybody else wants to drop their handle so that people can reach out, that would
Student
be
Body
great.
Health.
Excellent.
Student Body Health and Instagram.
Anybody else?
I'm facialsfortlauderdale.com and I'm facialsfortlauderdale on Instagram. Lots of great info and tips on staying young and gorgeous.
Facialsfortlauderdale.com and Donna.
Donna c0Me.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. Happy International Yoga Day.
International Yoga
Thanks
Day.
for joining us.